I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons. Thank you so much for your support. Hey y'all, it's Kate from the Literary Apothecary and welcome back to another bi-weekly reading vlog. Now this is for the week of October 22nd to, if I can do my math correctly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to November 5th. So the end of October to the beginning of November. I'll have videos coming out in the meantime before you see this of my October wrap-up, my November TBR, exciting things coming in November. But first, let's do our first check-in for these next 2 weeks. And let's talk about what I'm reading this weekend. So this weekend, I hope to finish Guns of the Dawn by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is a book, basically Jane Austen and her Regency world meets military fantasy. We have characters that sneak up on your emotions. You think they are, there's a lot of the everyday characters that you would not necessarily feel a lot for, but they sneak up on your emotions. And then there's the other characters like the Jane Austen Regency characters that also find a way to sneak up on you. Everyone sneaks up on your emotions. Like I said, I hope to finish that this week. I am a little over 100 pages away from the end, so I know between today and tomorrow I'll have that knocked out. What I'm also hoping to finish this weekend is Bruno, Chief of Police by Martin Walker. This was my patron pick of the month for October, picked by Stacy, and I hope to finish this audiobook this weekend so I can move on to a new audiobook before October ends. In Bruno, Chief of Police, Bruno is a small town police officer in a sleepy French town. Then a scandal rocks the town, and Bruno has to put his policing skills to the test that he hasn't had to use in quite some time. I'm also still working on Lord Jim by Joseph Conrad. This was a buddy read with my friend Christy at Christy Lewis Dostoevsky in Space. I'm hoping now that work has calmed down a little, I'll have more time to focus on this book and knock this out. In Lord Jim is an English seaman who has found himself in the middle of a scandal when his ship sinks with a bunch of pilgrims heading to Mecca aboard it. And then the last book that I'll be reading this weekend until I finish another book is Jacinto's Remnant by Karen Travis. This is book 2 in the Gears of War series. I will be at this yesterday, Friday, I just finished the first book, Aspho Fields, and so now I'm starting the second book in this series. I'll be starting that later today. And this is actually book 1 in the video game series Gears of War. After a brutal 15-year war for survival, the coalition of ordered government is forced to destroy mankind's last city in a final bid to stop the Locust Horde. As the survivors flee Jacinto, they must contend with the last of the Locusts bent on vengeance as they struggle to stay alive in an icy wilderness. And their new enemy is maybe a human. So I'm really interested to see where this story goes. And now we get to see, the video games in novel form. And I can't wait. And last but not least for now is our Booktuber highlight of these next 2 weeks. And today that is Josephine at Fine Reads. Fine reads fantasy, some sci-fi, horror, thriller, a little bit of everything thrown in. Her favorite series of all time is Green Rider by Christian Britain, which if you've seen my videos before, I'm slowly making my way through that series. Eventually I'll catch up to the rest of the series. And she is just a wonderful, wonderful person. I love her to pieces. She was one of my very first patrons and she's just the best. So if you haven't already, go check out Fine Reads and make sure you hit that subscribe button. And that's it for now, and I'll check in with y'all again very soon. Hey y'all, checking in again now. I've got a lot to check in about because I haven't checked in at all this week. So there's a lot to get to. But first, let me say Hello and welcome to some of our new subscribers. We've got Pout in Stereo, Kathy's Crazy Life, and Joseph Sorensen, who is a coworker of mine and has introduced me to a great resource for thumbnails that I'm dying to check out. So welcome, and thank you all so much for subscribing. It really means the world to me because without you, I'd just be sitting here talking to myself. So thank you for subscribing. Now, first, to start off this check-in, let's do some book mail. So first and foremost, I got from a friend, I got the advanced reader copy of Hell Sands by Ever Dundas. And I am so excited to read this because this sounds like such a cool idea. When every word you read, whatever it says, fills you with euphoric calm, that's Hell Sands. A typeface used everywhere by the government to keep people happy and controlled, blissful. Unless you're allergic, and then every word is agony. Then Hell Sands is hell, and reading it slowly is killing you. CEO Jan Ward is famous and successful until she falls ill with the allergy and her life falls apart, dumping her in the ghetto with the other HSAs, Hell Sands allergic. There she meets Dr. Icho Smith, a scientist who has a cure for the allergy, but she's on the run from the government and the Serifs, a terrorist group with their own plans for the HSAs. That sounds really exciting. I can't wait to fit this in to my TBR, as well as my friend also sent me these book darts. They're essentially little bookmarks that you can place on the exact lines where you're reading, and I can't wait to try those out. I think I've tried them out before and I really liked them. She says they're great if you keep them in the book instead of taking them out. She takes them out after she reads and they left little indentations on the pages, but if you're planning on leaving them in after you've read, then they work really well. So I can't wait to try those out. And then the other set of book mail that I got was pre-orders that I put in through Emergent Realms, which is the publisher for my friend Jim Wilborn, for the 7th Cadence and the new novella that was just released this week, Strangers in the Promised Land. It takes place right after the 7th Cadence, and I will actually talk about this in just a minute when we talk about books that I've finished reading this week. I only had the 7th Cadence on ebook, but looking at this cover, I absolutely needed that in hardback, and Jim had a great bundle option where you get book 1 and the novella, and it could be signed. So I got it signed. Both of them were signed, and they came with cute little stickers, Continuing Chronicles stickers, and just a whole bunch of stuff that it came with. More stickers from the 7th Cadence. We got these here, and a bookmark here, and so I will leave the link down in the description below where you guys can go order these, but they're also available just about anywhere that you can get books. But if you order them through Emergent Realms, you get all these extras plus this cute little bag that came with it to match the novella cover. I was just blown away by everything that came with this. I'm so excited. And I will talk about the Strangers in a Promised Land in just a minute. So that was our book mail. So now let's get to books that I have finished this week, because there's a bunch actually. First up, I finished Guns of the Dawn by Adrian Tchaikovsky, and this book I really loved. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, and I loved just about everything in this book. It was a great mixture of the romantic Regency writing style with the military fantasy, and it was just a great mixture of a lot of things. And I'll talk about all of that in a review I have coming very soon. So 5 out of 5 stars for Guns of the Dawn. When I finished reading Guns of the Dawn, then I moved on to 12 Blades in Contempt by Jordan Darrett. This is book 1 in the epic Agacia series, and I got this review copy from the author himself. A quick spoiler-free summary of 12 Blades in Contempt. This is a medieval Japan-inspired progression/epic fantasy, mixing elements of Cradle, The Rage of Dragons, and the Poppy War. And I have not read the first two series listed there, and I've only read the first book in the Poppy War series so far, even though I own them all. But that just had my attention right there because I've heard amazing things about all three of those series. Aya is a Ginu, hidden assassin of the Agasha Empire. She is the black sheep of her clan, grappling for a connection with her deity. Her world is one of ridicule by her own family, forced into doing their biddings. Chafing under the heavy expectations of her father, a collision with a rival clan provides her with the chance to prove herself. But a grievous mistake causes their plan to backfire, forcing Aya to choose between loyalty and independence. And I'm only a couple chapters in so far, but I'm really enjoying this. It reads really quickly, but really engaging also. I also finished Bruno, Chief of Police by Martin Walker. This was my patron pick of the month for October. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, and I'll also have a review coming for this. Just know that there is so much more to this book than it looks like at first glance. When I finished Bruno, Chief of Police, I then moved on to the audiobook of The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey. This is the wine and crime book of the month for October, and this is a non-stop thrill ride of lies, betrayal, and identity. It's a science fiction thriller. Evelyn Caldwell's husband, Nathan, has been having an affair with Evelyn Caldwell. Or, to be exact, with Martine, a genetically cloned replica made from Evelyn's own award-winning research. But that wasn't even the worst part. So far, I am enjoying this, though I'm hoping they didn't give the reveal too early and that there's a lot more to come after this. I am, I think, about 12 chapters in so far, and I'm really hoping to be able to finish this by Saturday. And then I also finished Lord Jim by Joseph Conrad, which I buddy read this with Christy at Christy Lewis Dostoevsky in Space, and I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. I thought it was written well. There were a lot of parts where I felt like I was a little bit bored during, but the ending completely made up for it because that ending was spectacular. So when I finished Lord Jim, then I moved on to the novella I was just talking about. That is Strangers in the Promised Land by Jim Wilborn. And so this is 1.5 in the Continua Chronicle series. This takes place directly after Book 1, The Seventh Cadence. So after the battle at the Shadow Peaks, Amy and Mara Crewe are left with nothing but the scant clothes on their backs and an injured horse. When the sisters run into 3 soldiers who agree to escort them home, they believe they finally struck a bit of luck. But there is more to these soldiers than they realize, and they find themselves the unwitting accomplices to 3 deserters of the enemy army. And so this was a really quick read because it's just a novella, so it was really short, less than 200 pages. I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this journey with Amy and Mara, and I can't wait to read more in the Continua Chronicle series. So now that I finished that, I went and started this morning A Handful of Souls by Stephen Rice, which is another self-pub book that I agreed to read this month. This is book 1 in the Split Sea series. A quick spoiler-free summary. Mud, gold, and lies. That's all you get in Brenera. You'll find no better experts on these things than Lily Kale Tolworth. Yet, she has no clue of the events already in motion around her. This sounds like a family affair. The Goodreads description goes into a lot more detail, but I thought that gave away spoilers for the book. So, it talks about her dad and her brother and her whole family. And so it's a family affair, and I'm enjoying what I'm reading so far, although I'm only like one chapter in. And then the other book that I'm currently reading now is Jacinto's Remnant by Karen Travis, and this is book 2 in the Gears of War series based off of the video games. And I'm enjoying this, and now I think I'm going to be able to enjoy it even more. Last night, John played a little bit of one of the Gears of War series video games for me, so I could see it in live action, and I think it's going to help me be able to visualize not only our characters better, but some of the different things that we come across, like their weapons and the, enemies, these locust hordes and whatnot. Seeing them in the video game is going to help me better be able to imagine all of this as I'm reading the book series. Okay, y'all, so I'm checking in tonight. I don't have anything that has been finished since I've last checked in, but I have started a couple more books, or am about to. And so I thought I would check in just to talk about what I am starting this week in addition to the books I'm carrying over. I'm still reading Jacinto's Remnant, 12 Blades in Contempt, and A Handful of Souls, and I'm enjoying all of those books. I hope to finish at least one of those within the next couple days before this vlog goes up. But I've also started a couple books, and some of them, 2 of them are November books that I was planning on starting around November 1st. One of them, which I'll talk about right now, is a book that I forgot I was supposed to buddy read in October with Leslie. I was watching one of her videos, one of her Friday wrap-up videos, and she started talking about Her Body and Other Parts by Carmen Maria Machado. And she said that, hey, I'm going to be buddy reading this with Kate at the Literary Apothecary. And I was like, oh, freaking crap. I forgot to add this to my TBR. So I completely forgot to start this in October. This is a series, a collection of short stories. I have since then started this. I am through 2 of this short stories. And this is very visceral writing so far. It is not for the faint-hearted. It's very direct, very visceral, and very graphic, but also very well done. It kind of reminds me of each of the 2 short stories that I've read so far kind of remind me of just kind of like collections of tales put together into one story. I wasn't really sure, especially in the first one, or the second one too, because, yeah. For either of them, really, now I'm rambling. For both of the first stories, I wasn't sure if it was the same point of view, the same kind of narrator throughout this book, or if they were different ones. So that was a little bit confusing, but not enough to have me stop. So I'll be at least attempting to do 1 story a day out of this book until I finish this up. Leslie, I think, has just finished this book, or was going to today. So I'm way behind on that buddy read because I totally forgot about this. But this one I am starting now. I've started, and so I wanted to update about that. And then there was so I started the audiobook for Augustus by John Williams this morning on my way into work. As you might remember from my TBR video, that I'm doing as a patron read with Alan at the Library of Alexandria. A bunch of us are reading that one together, and I am really, really interested in this. This is like kind of like a dramatization of letters and memoirs and journal entries of Augustus and Julius Caesar and everyone that surrounded them. It's essentially, obviously, about Augustus, who was Julius Caesar's nephew. He was 18 when Julius Caesar was assassinated, and supposedly, and Alan can correct me if I'm wrong, supposedly was supposed to take over rule for Julius Caesar. He was his successor. And so I love history of all kinds, so I was hooked from the start for that. I love the Romans. Alan has two different gifs on his Discord that Evie created from when he's talking about the Romans. One says it's just like the Romans, and the other one says I can't get over the Romans, and those are some of my favorite gifs. I love them, and yes, I will be using them a lot on this buddy read. But also the way that this book is written, at least so far, is so intriguing to me. I love it, and I want to read more, which is good because this is a long audiobook. It was like 18 hours, I think it said. So I'm really interested in this book. And then the last book that I promise I will be starting tonight, can't promise it'll be the last book I start this week, that is, of course, our next Harry Potter Illustrated Edition. This is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. This is book 3 in the series, and I haven't started this read yet, but I am already in love with this cover, this purple and the like green foil title there, and it of course wraps all the way around to the back. And just wait, because this naked hardback is so good. It's plain, but look at that purple, y'all. I love it, and it's got the gold foil on the spine and the end papers. Azkaban, of course. Look at that. That is one of my favorite illustrations so far that I've seen. That's just absolutely gorgeous. And then, of course, the end papers in the back is our Dementors. So I can't wait to start this. Of course, this is part of my buddy read with Leslie at the Nerdy Narrative, and Stacy and Channing, and I forget who else has joined us. I've already got a channel set up on my Discord for this, so I can't wait to dive into this and share pictures with y'all on Discord. Hey y'all, checking in one last time for this week. I don't think that I'll be able to finish another book by the time this goes live. I'm just in the middle of so many books right now that I don't see myself being able to finish one by the time Saturday morning comes around. So I'm going to wrap this up a little bit early this week so I can definitely get it done in time and not late. So books that I'll be reading this weekend, the first weekend in November, include Jacinto's Remnant, 12 Blades in Contempt by Jordan Darnett, Her Body and Other Parties. Started my reread of Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban with the illustrated editions, digital books that I'll be reading, the ebook of A Handful of Souls by Stephen Rice, the audiobook of Augustus by John Williams, which I'm really enjoying. I also will likely start another book this weekend, probably The Importance of Being Earnest, because on Saturday, the day that you'll be seeing this at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, over on Tiffany's channel, which I'll link down below, we're going to have reading sprints to kick off the Rating Project Gutenberg readathon. So I am hoping to actually have one of my Rating Project Gutenberg TBR books ready by then. I'll be picking them up from the library tomorrow. I'm excited to get to work on that TBR as well. Let me know in the comments below, what was your favorite reading moment from the past 2 weeks, and what are you looking forward to reading the most this coming week? As always, my Patreon and my Discord information will be in the description below. Keep reading, and I love y'all to the moon and back. Bye.